Conservators of all ages, you are about to witness the greatest comic book conservation live show in the solar system. Please join me in welcoming the Conservators. Hey!
Hey,
y'all?
Dr. Paul.
It's me, Dr. Paul.
We got a doctor, a
everybody.
professor.
We got all the people.
Captain and Phantom Phil.
Hey,
We can't beat
Get
the
all-
team, and Dr. Paul.
Can't beat
Right?
the team.
what a
Well,
crew.
today we're here to see Professor Peter. You
Yeah.
are,
Excited to
you
have you
are
on today.
our special feature.
That's
Yes, we're
right.
talking about gel and gum. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I've been thinking about gels all day. Looking forward to your
Have you?
slides. So no, but in all seriousness, I have. That's why I'm a co-host on this show, because I'm
I know we
nerd
talked
that
once
likes
about gel and
comic
gum.
conservation.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Let's just go around the horn real quick. We'll do intros. We'll get into thanks. We'll do some admin stuff, and we'll jump into using gels and conservation for comic books. I am Dr. Paul of Liberty Hill Comics. Welcome to the channel. Great to see everybody. Great to see the people in the chat. Great to see the generous super chats already. We will get to y'all in a
I
minute.
saw that.
Let's say hi to our returning guest host, Professor Peter Alachi. Welcome, sir. How are you? How have you been? It's been a little while since we've had you on.
I've been frazzled. We started the school already. I mean, last week we didn't have any lecture this week, but next week we start lectures, right? And I have a number of labs and lectures I'm doing, so kind of
Awesome.
busy catching up with things, right?
It
Today
keeps
I
you
lost-
young, though.
I know, right? I lost an Amazon package today,
Oh,
and I brought it
Oh,
to the house, and then I couldn't find it. I asked my wife Liz. I said, "Did you take the box?" She goes, "No." I said, "Then somebody must have broken into the house and took the box because the door was open." Went around looking. We told the neighbors. Of course, I sent an email to the neighbors, warning them that there was somebody who broke into the house and took the box. Come to find out, I took the box from the front porch and I put it inside myself. So it's very, I'm very, very frazzled. That's why I said frazzled. Yeah. But
I was going to say, you
welcome.
live in a bad neighborhood.
no, it's a good neighborhood actually. It's
no.
It's a good neighborhood. So but it's just it throws you off when you experience things like that, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So I am Peter. I teach microbiology at Salem State University, and I teach cell-based courses typically. And I am on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. My channel is Professor Peter Experiments in Conservation. And I'm really happy here to be with the doctor, with the captain, and with the Phantom Phil. Excellent to be here.
We have a new moniker for you, Professor. Gelling like a felon.
Gelling like a felon. I like that.
Yeah.
Good
Welcome to winter welcome to winter semester, I suppose.
I suppose so, yeah. We call it second semester in Salem State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the mascot for Salem State University?
It's a Viking.
The Viking.
Viking, yeah. Which is like, yeah. Should be a witch, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, which
I was
on
going
the
to say,
brim?
it should be a witch.
It's not everywhere.
Be the Warlocks or something, I would think.
You know,
but-
something like that, yeah.
well,
Yeah,
well,
Warlock, although is a bad witch, is not a good witch.
well, we can workshop that though.
Yeah. We assign that to male witches, but they're supposed to be bad witches.
Yeah.
We say Warlock, yeah.
Well,
I don't know. That's
okay. Bad is good.
I don't know. That was my flying call sign was Warlock. So
There
Well,
we go.
I meant to ask you, do you see any UFOs when you fly? Any flying
not that
saucers?
I will admit to.
Yeah.
Or that he can legally
You know,
talk about.
I could have. I
Another
tell guys that they could have an alien fly up alongside my airplane, drop trow, and moon me, and I will never admit that I saw that.
Yeah, well,
I guess that's a good. Segue, Captain. Say hi to everybody. It looks like you're on the road again.
I am on the road there, Dr. Paul. As you can see, it's a bit sunny right now. You guys are all at evening time. It is about 9:30 in the morning here in Hong Kong.
Wow.
So
Nice.
I actually flew all night. Came from Incheon to Shenzhen to Hong Kong. I got in just a few hours ago, and tomorrow I'll be in Dubai and Kuwait City. So
Wow.
yes, I am Captain Larry. I am a roving airline pilot / comic conservationist, and you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, but mostly on Instagram. You can, if you want to talk to me. So
Absolutely.
I got a few more videos. I got a ton of raw footage I need to put together. I've got a couple of different reels. I got to follow up to the Superman and the Smash Comics.
Fun.
So I should get those out this week. I know people have been asking for them.
A lot going on your channel. Check it out if you haven't in a while, folks.
Mhm.
And rounding out our quartet for the evening, Phil, how are you?
Well, I'm going to say, like I always say, I'm coming to you guys live from the border of Brooklyn and Queens here in New York City. And this must mean that it's I feel like a not Mr. Rogers, but one of those, here today on Sunday evening. But here it's Sunday evening, and I'm here to talk comic conservation with you fine gentlemen. In all seriousness, I've been thinking about Gels, Professor Peter, because I knew we'd be having you on. I've been really looking forward to it. This is as much an education for me as it is for our viewers and the people that are interested in conservation. And on that note, I'll just say, just real quick, you can find me on Instagram at Phantom Comic Studios, this website right beneath my name here. Follow up if you don't hear back from me. I kind of hit a critical point at the beginning of the year. Very busy with work, and this is my full time, and I love comics, and I'm happy to be here. And Captain Larry, I saw you wanted to say something.
I am glad to know that you are quite busy, sir. In fact, I saw your post and said is basically, I'm so swamped right now. Please don't send me any more comic books.
Yeah.
I can see I can see the desk in the background there too. It looks like the issue of Detective Comics that ruined Batman is right there on your desk.
Yeah. There's some.
More about that later. I would like to say thank you to this episode's sponsors. They are Don Carter, Collecting Chaos, Gorilla Monkey 3K, and Salesboy Comics. Check out their content. Give them a thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Tell them how much they're appreciated. If you're watching the show live, you're watching it ad-free because of those gentlemen. So thank you again. Thank you. And then we've already got 4 generous sponsors for next episode.
Yeah, I think that's great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Loston Wallace, who is a working professional artist in the comic book industry and other places, I believe. Definitely check out his work. Don Carter again. You Pluck My Last Comic. And Salesboy Comics, once again, keeping it moist and amazing. I'll keep working on that. I think I'm not quite as good with the amazing.
I still like gelling like a felon, man. I think that's on the stick.
It was real off the tongue.
Well, we have, as we mentioned, special guest host, Professor Peter Lachey tonight. I wanted to give a little bit of an intro, chat up Gels a little bit before we jump into a deck. But I first became aware, credit where it's due, to Gels in conservation from Barry, the comic presser. He told me probably a year and a half ago now, this is got a lot of potential and people will be doing it and get out in front of it. Of course, I have been busy. I did look up some of the primary literature. Shelby and I considered including it actually in the book, Comic Book Conservation, available on Amazon. But we just thought, we don't know enough about it. We don't have firsthand knowledge, and we didn't have anybody who was publicly using Gels for comic book conservation at the time that we could collaborate with to put some content in the book. And the book also was already overflowing. It was approaching 400 pages. We were already looking for material to cut from the first edition. So it didn't end up in there. We were aware of it. It was already something that was happening in conservation circles for paper documents, other ephemera. I think Professor cloth items, linens and other things like that as well. And so I was very excited to see that the professor started working specifically with these gels in comic books. And I'm excited to say he's going to be sharing kind of an overview. For those of you that haven't checked it out, links in the description are all three of these fellows in terms of how to contact them and check out their content. But for those of you that haven't been following Experiments in Conservation, the professor's channel, please check it out. And I think we'll jump right into it after we say hi to the rest of our chatters. We've got the Archivist Adrift, who's here every week. What's up, Jason? All of our sponsors we've already mentioned. Oh, another generous super chat from Collecting Chaos. Thank you so much. We got Mike from McPart 2 shows up as Rom here. Salesboy Comics, Billy Pilgrim 1089, JCP. All the sponsors are already mentioned. All the super chatters. Loston wants to say the professor's been doing some great stuff with gels on his channel, of course, and we're excited to have him here to talk about it today. Let's see, what does this say?
Oh, hey, Jordan.
The gel tastes great too. Does he mean the gel?
Gels. Yeah.
Jerry, welcome to the channel. Glad to have you here.
Welcome, Jerry.
Yeah, we'll have the Jitterbug back on soon. All right. Well, without further ado, we said hi to our chatters and we gave a little primer for this. You know what? I'm not on the correct starting slide. Here we go. Let's throw it up. I think this may go to full screen and then I have to adjust it. Sorry, folks.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
Normally we have the talking heads.
There we go.
There we go.
Here you go.
There's been some changes on StreamYard, and I'm not quite used to all of them yet. You see, we also reverted to, well, I'll sort them out later. Take it away, Professor.
Well, I remember talking about agar gels in the past on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And this is similar type of gels called gel and gum. And it is going to be fabulous, I think, for the hobby. Fabulous for the conservators. I think many of us have been looking for this product to clean and get rid of stains and foxing and things like that on paper.
Ooh.
So I've been experimenting with it for the past 4 or 5 months now. And alongside me, Don Carter jumped in and did his own experimentations also and posted some of the results on the Facebook group.
Right. Comic book conservation community in Facebook for
Exactly.
you boomers that are still on Facebook.
And that encouraged other conservators. Jason, the Archivist Drift, for example, did some videos on his channel showing the gel and gum slabs and explaining them to his followers. And recently, Dylan, Salesboy, jumped in on this also and had a video on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think increasingly in the last 5 or 6 months, I think we've been introducing gel and gum and hoping that people will see the benefit of the gel and gum. And typically, we use like little cutout of the gel and gum, but I've been doing slabs instead.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh.
A slab like this.
Oh, nice.
Here, let me continue holding that up.
Yeah.
Let me feature that for a moment. So this is a gel on Lexan, I assume, plexiglass.
plexiglass. It's an older gel now. It's shrunk a little bit and it's dirty, as you can see.
Mhm.
So all the tannins and the stains got into it from the cover of a comic book, and that stuff is, you can't reuse it.
Yeah.
But I kept it just to show you guys how it looks like, right?
Yeah.
Very cool.
But
This
usually it's
has-
very wet. Yeah.
It has like the consistency of a Jello shot for those
Yeah.
of you that.
Yeah. I mean, I can break this. I don't care, right? You can actually rip it.
Yeah.
and it's
Just don't eat it.
yellow.
Just don't eat it.
Yeah. No, actually, you can eat this.
It is edible. Yeah.
Dylan said we use this in cooking to make the sauces a bit thick, right?
Yeah.
Professor, you have nothing to prove. You don't have to eat that right now. It's okay.
No, but I'm not going to eat this stuff.
But one of the byproducts of the breakdown of the oxidative breakdown of paper is actually vanillin.
wow.
And so it wouldn't shock me. Part of the nice smell of old pulp paper books is actually the vanillin. And it wouldn't surprise me if even a dirty one wasn't edible and maybe even not unpleasant. I don't know. Maybe that'll be what I do for my first video on gels.
Yeah. I would say this is entirely non-toxic, right?
Of course.
You're not going to die. Gel and gum, you have betaine in it, which is, people take it as supplements sometimes.
Mhm.
There's like calcium acetate in it and some other things, but nothing in it is toxic, right?
Right. And
All
even
environmental friendly.
even the dirty byproducts of cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin that we bring out of the paper
Right.
are all just natural, if not edible, at least non-toxic products, right?
Non-toxic. At the concentration you're dealing with, it's non-toxic, right?
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah. Okay, so next slide, Dr. Paul.
Absolutely.
So gel and gum, let me put my glasses on so I can read. So gel and gum is a natural polysaccharide. In other words, it's a glucose polymer, right? Derived from a bacterium called Sphingomonas olidae. Used to be called Pseudomonas olidae in the old days. And the bacterium basically makes this gelatin as an exopolysaccharide to enhance its competitive fitness and survival and attachment to surfaces and the making of biofilms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then scientists noticed it and they said, what is this good stuff? And they extracted it and they've been using it pretty much since 2010. So the Italians were the first to notice it and they were the first to use it 15 years ago, 16 years ago. So not that long ago, right?
Right.
So I noticed it in watching videos on YouTube of various conservators using the gel and gum. I was like, it is just like agar. Why don't I just try it?
Mm-hmm.
So it is like agar in its application in conservation. It has a matrix that is mostly water, right? It's like 2% gel and gum and 98% water.
Right.
Has a finer mesh than agar. And what it does, it gradually controls the water and material exchange between the slab itself and the paper.
Mm-hmm.
So that stuff ends up migrating from the paper into the gel, and the good stuff migrates from the gel into the paper. If that makes sense, right?
I also think of it as similar to a poultice in that the surface of the gel, if it's exposed to the environment, is evaporating off fluid. And so therefore that creates a mass transfer that draws out of the paper, right? So that's another way to think about the method of action here.
Exactly. So these bad contents you have in the paper, like acids and tannins and stains, end up diffusing according to their concentration gradient, right? And typically in nature, things diffuse from regions of high concentrations to regions of low concentrations. And here you have these tannins and stains diffusing according to their concentration gradient, meaning anything that is in the paper is going to diffuse out of the paper and into the gel. Larger
anything soluble.
Anything soluble in the water, right? will diffuse, and larger molecules diffuse at a slower rate than smaller ones, right?
Yep. So I guess just in terms of how it's practically used, you're wetting the paper by spraying it.
Yeah.
And then you're applying the gel. So that water interface is sort of where all of the magic is happening here in terms of how things get pulled out of the paper and get transferred into the gel. Yeah,
the water is key. It's providing the moist environment, right, through the this incubation phase, and this guarantees it is the solvent here you're using. Anything that dissolves in water is called a solute in chemistry. So you have this water and solutes, and anything dissolves in that water is going to be carried by the water back and forth, right? So the water is the milieu here that is causing this magic to occur, right?
Yeah.
So you need,
and by water, typically it's buffered water, right? We're talking about calcium hydroxide buffered water.
Exactly. 25% calcium hydroxide is what I use. You can use saline if you want. You can use even regular tap water. In our hobby, of course, we use 25% calcium hydroxide. That's what I use. So the gel and gum essentially is absorbing these soluble degradation products. And it's been useful also in removing stuck-on paper. Like I had this, I'm working on this comic book right now, right?
Nice.
In very bad shape though. And it had a stuck-on paper on the back, and I ended up removing it with gel and gum. This was all stuck on here on the sides and here and there. So I ended up just removing it very easily. After like 1 hour, everything was, you can just peel it right off. Right.
Oh, nice. There's maybe the mascot for Salem State at some point in the future.
There you go, the witch. Yeah. I love this cover, but
oh, it's great.
It's a low grade copy, All right, so that's a photo of clean gel and gum. When you first pour it, it's very foamy like that, and it'll have the top surface maybe a bit uneven. So what I do is I flip it upside down. So I use the bottom side of the gel and gum.
You cast this in like a Pyrex baking dish or something like that.
Yeah, something that can take it, right? You want to pour it kind of rather fast, right? Within the first 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Unlike agar, you can leave it at room temperature for like half an hour, nothing will happen to it, right? If you leave gel and gum for half an hour at room temperature, it'll solidify on you, right? Yeah. But at 80 degrees, it goes solid on you for some reason, right?
Yeah.
So 80 degrees centigrade. So I like to pour it as soon as I take it out of the microwave. Once it bubbles is when I pour it into a, let's see, I have silicone, right? Silicone tray. I pour it in, and you can, right, just like this, and you can just peel it off when it solidifies.
Yeah.
And stick it on top of a plexiglass sheet, right?
Where do we get this?
This is Amazon.
Nice. Everything is Amazon, I suppose.
Yeah. So this will fit very comfortably about 750 milliliters of liquid. When I make 1 liter, I use a different tub, which I don't have here next to me, but I use that similar thing, right? Similar idea.
Yeah.
So
I found some Pyrex like baking dishes, larger.
You can use Pyrex.
I found them at like
Goodwill.
Yeah, you can find those at the Goodwill if you're lucky for like $5 or something.
Yeah. Number of things. So gel and gum is useful to remove things, backing removal for posters and things like that, cleaning, deacidification, enzyme delivery even, right, and bleaching.
Sure.
So all of these can be used in our hobby. Okay, next slide, Dr. Paul.
Oh, I gotcha.
So you can even use cut out of the gel and gum. You don't have to use a slab like I did. If you have only a specific area you want to treat with gel and gum, you don't feel like doing a whole thing, you could make a small amount of it, put it into a dish at home, and then let it solidify, and then cut them up into squares and use them over stains if you'd like, right? So that's an example of what I'm showing there in the picture. but it is gel and gum that you want to buy is the low acyl type. This one here. Not sure if you guys can see it. It's kind of inversed, right?
No, we see it. We see it normally. You see it in, but we see it.
Okay, I'm seeing it inverse. Okay.
Yep.
So this is the one I get usually from Amazon, but Amazon is out of this. So if you don't have this, you can get any gel and gum that they use for cooking that is low acyl, right? That's what you want to do. So there is a low acyl and a high acyl form. The low acyl form is what gives you that firm, clear, brittle texture that you want. And the high acyl form is used for cooking. It's weak, it's elastic, and has creamy texture.
It would just be more difficult to handle. It still work, but just more difficult practically to use.
More difficult practically, yeah. It'll still work, exactly, yeah.
It is available on Amazon again. I'm looking at it right now. I just put it in my shopping. Yeah, I just put it in my shopping cart. So
you better check out quick.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I need I need to find my baking sheet and I can't find it.
Ah. Loston says he needs that silicone tray just to collect his drool. People really love this. That's just an indication, Professor. People really love this work.
That's good to know. So gel and gum can be used to deliver a variety of chemical treatments. It contains the solvent, which is water, and other additions to its gel matrix, which are called solutes. I didn't put that word here in the paragraph. Water can be replaced gradually by other organic solvents using various ethanol concentrations as the go-in-between solvent. Yeah. So say you want to use Bestine, right? If you recall how I made the agar gels with Bestine, I had to use ethanol as an intermediary solvent and then to gradually replace it with the Bestine.
Oh, that's right.
The same thing here. You can use them for solvents. You can use them with water.
Sort of stepwise. So in a stepwise fashion, you can, because again, think of this as a mostly hollow matrix, right? It's sucking up water. That's what gives it, as the professor said, only 2% by mass here is the powder, right? The rest is all just water. So you think of this as a matrix or kind of an invisible sponge that sucks up water, right?
Right.
And in order to replace the water with these other solvents, you can't just dump it in the other solvent. You have to do kind of a stepwise concentration gradient where you allow the diffusion to take place between the miscible solutes over a few steps. So it is a little bit, it's time consuming in that regard, but very powerful. If you wanna use a different solvent here, it's the technology or the properties of the material allow it.
Yeah, and I can do a video showing how you can do that. It's not a difficult task. It just takes you probably like a day to finish, right?
Yeah,
and you have to be there, and every 2 hours you change concentrations.
So maybe we should just address the word you use here, Professor, brittle. I think it's not brittle. It's just not as soft as the high acyl.
In a way that it's not brittle like in books, but it breaks easily, right? You can go like this and break it, right?
Right.
That's what I mean.
So brittle in the scientific sense of when you apply a force to it, there's a certain amount of give and then it just snaps. And that give, relative to the high acyl form, that give before it snaps is actually quite low. So that's why it's called the brittle form. Just to be clear.
I do have a question. I think you said that it's not reusable. It's a one-time use. You mix it up. You do like your one sheet and that's it. Correct? Or do you...
Yeah, so I addressed this in this presentation, but basically if you examine your your gel and gum slab, and it's still relatively clean after the treatment of the cover, I would use it again second time on a different cover.
As long as it was an
Okay.
As long as it's not too dirty yet, if that makes sense, right? Like I'll show you an example
I was
of what's
I was
too dirty.
playing to Jason, who's here. I said, as long as the second use is on like an Archie or something.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly what I did. I used Superman first, and I used Archie. It worked for both, actually, you know.
Arch
long as
doesn't
it's
mind
same-
sloppy
same-
seconds.
Yeah. So if you're using it on the same day, right? Use my Superman book just had the foxing on it. It was actually relatively clean, and I was able actually to use the Archie, which was very, very dirty, as a second round,
Yeah.
right? So you can
So-
do it that way if you want, but if it gets dirty and you have a lot of tannins in there, I wouldn't use it. I would throw it out.
Right.
Right?
So, Professor, the gel is not soluble at room temperature in water once it's polymerized here. Could you not soak the gel and basically thereby clean it and then reuse it?
That's a good idea, Dr. Paul. It didn't occur to me. You need to be aware also that the gel is susceptible to fungi.
Sure.
So if you do that kind of thing, you want to keep it refrigerated or add calcium propionate to it
Sure.
so it doesn't build that fungus.
But you could give the gel a bath, basically.
You can give the gel a
And,
bath. What I would do, yeah.
Is it? I mean, what's the chance? Is it like diminishing returns to wash it versus just make more gel, or is there something to maybe getting at least two?
well,
or three
the gel and gum is quite expensive relative to like agar.
yeah, I guess that's
it's
kind of what I
also
was getting at. Yeah.
a
But you're
little bit
using less of it than agar, right?
true.
So that at the end it ends up being about the same amount.
I think at the end, it's just I'm pointing out that it's theoretically possible, and that if people want to experiment with that, it's probably a worthwhile venue to sort of play with.
And you're not using it on every book, right? You're using it like occasionally on books which you think they're going to be ruined in water, right? In an aqueous bath.
Sure.
So Silver Age, for example, right? You use it on Silver Age. All right, so forget where I was. So okay, so basically we use it alongside some solutes like calcium hydroxide, betaine, and calcium propionate is what I put into my gel and gum. Right, calcium propionate inhibits fungi. Betaine is a biological cleaning agent that is superb. I haven't seen anything like it before, right? And calcium hydroxide, of course, is to deacidify the paper and bring it to a neutral pH and leave behind an alkaline reserve, like Dr. Paul says. And other things you may want to add include hydrogen peroxide and enzyme solutions, but those I keep separate. If I were to use hydrogen peroxide and enzyme solution, I would keep them separate from each other. And I wouldn't use the hydrogen peroxide until maybe the last step or something like that.
Yeah.
If there is a need to it. If
Hydrogen peroxide interact with betaine?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I don't think so. I just keep it separate because I don't use it with the betaine in the same spray bottle. So I keep separate spray bottle. I keep one for the calcium hydroxide and the betaine and the calcium propionate. Another one for the enzyme solution, which I have on my channel, just an enzyme solution. And a third one, when I treat the fungal staining, I would use 0.5% to 1% hydrogen peroxide and then expose the paper at the very end to a blue LED. And that sort of lightens the black spots that you see from the fungus on the paper.
Yep. So we should say your penultimate bullet here says, usually the exposure is less than an hour, rapid and efficient use. I think that sort of is a good segue to this question from Collecting Chaos and mirrored by a few others. Can we then flip the gel over and use the other side?
Yes.
So the concentration of the, let's call them impurities that you pull out of the water, or out of the paper rather, it's obviously going to be highest on the side that's touching, but over time, diffusion will distribute those impurities through the whole gel.
Exactly.
So if you want to flip it over, you would want to do that relatively quickly.
Right.
And keep in mind, your concentration gradient is not as great as it was with a clean gel. So you also are not going to have the same cleaning power. But all these things are doable, right? It's all just a matter of degrees rather than absolutes here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's everybody should experiment with this, right? And just give it a try and see for themselves how that works, right? And if you feel like you could use it more than 2 times, be my guest. I wouldn't. I really wouldn't.
Right. I think this is a good point. This is a tool, and it's for you to decide the best way to use the tool. I don't think there's an absolute one correct way to use these gels. Again, think of them similar to a poultice. It's basically a medium through which you can remove impurities from your paper and introduce things that you want introduced into the paper in a format that is less intrusive than a full aqueous bath. I think is the best how I would sort of summarize it. And thank you so much, Gorilla Productions 73 for the super chat. Appreciate you.
So cleaning with gel and gum usually takes under an hour, enabling rapid and efficient use. Although I've gone up to overnight sometimes with no damage on the cover, especially if it's a Bronze Age cover, right?
Sure.
And all the Archie books I've tried on, some were Silver Age that didn't take more than 6 hours, I would say, but then the Bronze Age are solid. I mean, you can go 6 hours, no problem, right? And then the heavier material diffuse out, especially if you have a lot of tide lines and staining like that, dark staining, right?
Here's the really great news. Don Carter says, I've used it on EC covers with very good results, thin covers. So the important thing here is it's think of it as gentler than a full aqueous bath, right? So you can start to get the results that we would normally get from an aqueous bath on materials that you otherwise would not be able to subject to an aqueous bath. And that's the corner case where this really excels and why you should have this in your toolkit. And as the professor said, you're not going to use this on every cover. There's plenty of covers that'll tolerate an aqueous bath quite well, and it's faster, cheaper, and more efficient. So you're probably going to go that route. But where you are not confident with full aqueous bath, this is going to give you essentially all of the upside with none of the downside of the aqueous bath.
Correct. So beside the gel and slabs, cut-off microgels placed directly on top of a wet cover or wrap may be used also. So you can do that also, right, during the cleaning process.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm showing there. All right, next slide. So expectations. Stain removal and lightening of tanning, right? This cover is a Schomburg cover.
Oh,
familiar to Captain Larry because he worked on it in the past. And this was
I know that book.
Yeah, this was extremely tanned, and look at the color now.
Looks much
beautiful.
Much
Much
better.
beautiful.
The inside, on the other hand, is still slightly tanned. You still have tan on the inside, right? But it's much improved. If you saw it
Now, would
before.
you use this on the interior as well?
So I place the when I do it one way, right? And you can try it both ways, right? What I do is I place it bottom side down on top of the gel and gum gel, right? And I leave it this way. So, and then I wet the top. I remove the remain from the top after I wet it, and I let it sit.
So,
Let it there and let it sit, basically.
So what we're seeing here, the before and after in the stain transfer there, that's from the inside covers.
Yeah, that's from this after 1 hour.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
that-
actually a good segue to one of the main questions. I have a couple of questions I prepped, just to make the just to make the show interesting for the
Yes.
professor. One here is the way that if I think about gels like a poultice, then the idea would be more. I want to have one face of the gel exposed to the atmosphere so that I can have evaporation off that face, which then pulls from the other face, right?
Right.
It creates a
Mhm.
pulling action.
Mhm.
So if I think about it that way, then the way that I would set the work up would be an impermeable surface, then my work, meaning the comic book cover, page, whatever, then the gel on top exposed to atmosphere. But you do it the other way,
I
which
do it the other way.
I'm sure works. And I'm wondering if you experimented or you have thoughts on why one method would be superior to the other. It occurs to me, paper down, then the gel would give the greatest diffusion out of the paper.
Yeah, that would make sense. Like when you use cutout, that's how you're doing it, right? You're putting
Right.
the cutout on top of the paper, right?
Right.
This to me seems like a logistic problem. It's like inverting it while the paper is there. Like how are you gonna do it, right? Without
Maybe if Jerry the Jitterbug could roll it, unroll it. I understand he had a lot of experience rolling things in the 60s.
Yeah, it's just that's like that did occur to me, is to put the gel on top of the paper.
Right.
But
That's how I was
but
thinking
then you
about
have
it
to
too.
invert it somehow.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if after you cast it, if you can kind of peel it out of your silicone tray and allow it to sort of lay right on top of
Flow
the work.
directly on top of the
I just invert everything.
Or if it could be done just between Hollytex and then flipped or something like that.
yeah.
Is it an obvious question to say when you're doing this, are you going to work it from? Are you going to expect? To
Yes,
work
you
it from
were.
both sides?
No, actually, I think Jerry and I are nearly the exact same age, and I was also not alive in the 60s. I knew it as I said it, but it just seemed more in the rolling seemed more in line with the 60s than the 70s when we actually grew up. But.
Professor,
Yes.
when you're doing this, are you doing it with the thought that you're going to work both sides of the paper and expose both sides to the gel?
Yes,
Like
so
kind
I-
of
Good that's a good
Yeah.
question. Yeah.
So I have tried that, and on the books that I have tried it on, it didn't make a difference, right? So if I did one side, right, the bottom side of the cover on the gel, or the reverse, it didn't really matter much, right?
Yeah.
But the reverse side has all the colors. I didn't want to mess up with the colors.
Exactly. No, if you're only going to pick one side, then you do the inside cover. So that
Inside
makes, and it's one. Jason made a good note of that in the comments, I think. And unless I'm misunderstanding what he said that's to prevent scratching against the colors. But that's just like always a consideration for me whenever I've done like tape removal, for example, and I'm putting it in the solvent bath. I'm almost always putting it cover side up, because when you're moving it around in the tray, just that, like, you don't think about that kind of abrasion, but that amount of abrasion
friction,
can amount to color loss. That if you're going to have it happen on the inside cover or the outside, choose the inside cover. So yeah, so
Exactly.
that makes sense. It makes sense. The same kind of principle.
That's the logic of this, right?
Yeah. So it would seem to me that it's not, as you've found out empirically, Professor, it's not necessary to do a gel on both sides or to flip it once or anything, because the diffusion power we're talking about here is much more powerful than the amount of resistance to diffusion that the paper would give you. Meaning it can pull from the surface of the paper just as easily as it pulls from the other side of the paper and through the paper.
Yeah. In other words, the weight of the gel on top of the paper is not going to matter much, right?
Right.
And either,
but also the diffusive power here, the suction, if you will, to put it in kind of layman's terms, is great enough that it pulls through the paper without any real resistance. offered by the paper.
So
So it's just not necessary to do both sides. And I think that's answers this question, why not a sandwich? So in addition to not being necessary and being more complicated than is necessary, you actually want to create that diffusion, and you want to have a surface that's evaporating to help speed along the diffusion that is occurring. So if you did a sandwich, you have less of that evaporative effect in terms of total surface area per volume of gel.
okay, might I ask though, if we're going to do this from one side, why not do it from the cover side? Being that is a
I
leading
think-
question, I know.
I think it's because you're more likely to accidentally have it pull out colors.
Do you mean the
So that
exterior?
okay, that
Captain, when you
yes,
say the
and
cover,
so-
you mean the exterior
the exterior
or
of the cover
or the obverse?
and
yeah.
and why, if it's going to pull color, why would it pull color? Because it seems to me that this is much more gentle than doing an aqueous bath, which yes, we can lose color that way. I'm just thinking you would pull more of the filth out of the book by doing the exterior side versus the interior side.
So it's more precautionary, I think, step than anything else, right? I've done both sides. I've done the inside, and then I flipped it over on the cover. I did that on the Archie book that I will show you soon. And that actually worked also. And it didn't damage the colors, didn't do anything. So if you do it carefully, I don't see why not.
Yeah, because
would be
I don't
hesitant to-
expect, yeah.
Yeah, I would be hesitant about doing it with Silver Age, because now you're putting it down on top of the slab. You have the remain there, and you have that friction now, and who knows what can happen, right, with
Yeah.
speckling and everything else.
So
So
Don
I
Carter's
think
just confirming that he's used Polytext to flip.
Yeah. So I typically, what I do is I keep it on the bottom side, and the top side, the cover side, basically is going to stay without any Polytext or remain. Right.
Mm-hmm. And it's face down as you do it.
Face
It's
down.
face down on
Like shown
a
there. Yeah.
smooth, impervious surface.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I cut the gel so that it's exactly the size of my
Nice.
book, slightly, overlaps, here and there. But you can see, like, after 1 hour, you got all these staining and tannins, discoloration, and that you can't use that anymore.
You just said something that I was thinking about earlier that I didn't want to forget to ask, and that is, it seems to me that the best use for this is cutting a piece of the gel to size, like you just said, because otherwise, and my first thought is, you could probably leave tide lines with this if it's only subjugated to one area, unless you're working on like a suction table, and even then you might risk getting tide lines. So your safest bet is to do the whole thing.
Yeah, you don't want to use it on a dry paper. Certainly, that's when you get the tight lines. But if you spray it with calcium hydroxide and then put on these little gel pieces,
Oh,
then
fair enough. Yeah,
create-
fair enough.
it won't create the tight lines.
Okay.
Yeah, so it gives you gentle brightening of the cover at the end, and it may require repeated applications. So this cover actually got a second application with gel and gum to remove most of the tannins. Against a lot of the tannins remained in it, right? But it's much more flexible. This was very, very brittle. And I did leaf casting on it, no color loss, no issues at all with it, right? It's a beautiful Schomburg cover. You can see how the Japanese were portrayed back in the day, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, so the other thing is not all stains are removable. Some stains stay. They are difficult to remove. Here, there is a stain at the bottom of this that did not remove. There's a stain here on the top that I couldn't remove.
So it's still a water-soluble process. So any stain that couldn't be removed by an aqueous bath is not going to be removed by this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any stain that remains, if you decide to go longer period, it might go eventually. It might not go. So who knows? So this is a 40-minute application of Real Life Comic number 15, left tannins, marks everywhere very quickly. So we take the cover out afterwards. What you do, you put it into a calcium hydroxide bath for like half a minute or so to remove any tannin residues that are stuck to the cover. And then you dry it, right? And then you press it and dry it. And that's what I do with this book. What I did with this
Very
book.
nice.
Can I ask one additional question that just popped into my head? Would it? How do I word this? Is it possible that this method actually removes more tannins than just the calcium hydroxide bath on its own?
Yeah, it can.
Or is that to say that this is simply like it's mainly just a safer procedure to do on paper that's more delicate?
It's safer to do on paper that is delicate. So like Silver Age is very delicate. Certain Golden Age, like 1948 on, are very delicate. Those kind of paper.
Sure. Yeah.
And I would do those with gel and gum.
Atomic
because,
Age.
because
yeah.
they are delicate, right?
I think that fact makes both your statements true, Phil. So you can remove more than could be done with aqueous only because these kind of books you wouldn't expose to an aqueous bath for more than a few minutes, probably. Whereas you can leave them exposed to the gel for much longer. So the principle acting here is the same, but because you're allowed to expose it longer safely, you can get a greater result. Does that make sense?
Exactly. That's thank you. Thank you for articulating kind of the point I was trying to get at, but wasn't doing a good job of doing.
Just to make a distinction here too, and I think
that's a big deal. That's a really big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. There is no tannin in paper, even pulp paper. So
tannins, I don't know what you call them.
Yeah. So this has happened before where people think I'm saying tannins.
I'm saying
tannins are found in certain plants. They're just not found in the ones used to make paper. So when you hear I'm saying tanning, and I'm using it in a generic type sense, just to mean anything that turned the paper darker over time, because we actually don't even know all of the compounds that are existing there. And so to use sort of a false precision is not where I want to be. So I use tanning sort of just generically. And just to be clear, tannins are not what we're removing. There are no tannins in paper. They're not a byproduct of paper breakdown. They're not present there.
The staining, we're removing all that staining.
Tanning or staining. Yep.
Yeah, I'm guilty of using the word tannins.
I learned it from Dr. Paul. So.
But it's a good word. I mean, it delivers the message, right?
I'm sorry.
Right. Scientifically speaking, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Next slide, please.
Sure.
Thank you. So its use is with the comic books, especially Silver Age, showed little to no speckling after 30-minute exposure. Doesn't leave a residue. Its transparency permit observation of the slab discoloration during the treatment, right? So you can guess or gauge how fast the cleaning process is taking place, right?
Just to clarify, this is a photo of the full cover wrap, wet, sitting on top of the gel, correct?
Yes.
Just so there's no. Okay. Yep. Just want to clarify.
Crypt12, welcome to the show. It is still deacidifying, but that's not an inherent property of the gel. It's doing so because the professor manufactured it with calcium hydroxide and is using a calcium hydroxide to wet the paper before placement of the gel.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that dark stain that you see at the bottom didn't go away. It lightened quite a bit, but it didn't go away fully, right? After the treatment, right? But I didn't want to leave it any longer because I was starting to lose some red color. So these are kind of flimsy covers for some reason. So even though they're Golden Age.
Lots of comments on my pedantic behavior. But I like this one here. We see no difference between tannin and tannin.
Professor,
if only I had Shelby on the show, we could ask him to say the word oil and we would all get a That's a lot of it. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so we know that in like traditional calcium hydroxide washes, you'll hit a point if you're going for longer washes where you'll see the color, the bath change the color. So, and we know that it's at a reasonable level. So if you're going to leave it for 10 hours, you're not going to expect to come back and not see some change if it's, you've done several baths. So I guess what I'm getting at here is in a similar fashion, it's to say that when I asked earlier how the gels allow for a deeper cleaning, you can do that, but it's not like an infinite amount. Like you just said, the reds here were coming out. So you can get away with longer than just your traditional 3-minute long or 4-minute long calcium hydroxide baths, but you're not going to be able to have it sit on the gel for 6 hours, over repeatedly without starting to have some, like, you're going to get color loss. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen at some point.
I would be very hesitant with certain books, right? Some books I am willing to try, experiment with, and see if they take the 6 hours, right? If they need the 6 hours. And I have. Life with Archie here is one example. I'll show you this book in a second. And I've taken books overnight even, right? Extreme, just to see the effect on them. And there was no effect. I mean, just simply the difference between the 3 hours and the overnight period was the same. It didn't make much of a difference. If you left it longer, it didn't make much of a difference, added benefit to it, right? So you can leave it as long as you want to, but keep in mind that some colors will be sensitive. Some covers are more sensitive than others. And usually within an hour, you see most benefit within that 1 hour, right?
Yeah.
And if you take it a bit longer, it may or may not make a difference, right?
Right.
But
And you're starting to see diffusion of the inks. So these inks, there's an interaction between the paper, the sizing, and the inks, and not all these inks are not pure pigments, they're mixtures, and some of the elements of those inks are still soluble. And so all of those things are happening. And again, this is a more controlled, Lawson has a specific question, specifically with Silver Age books, with the gel as a carrier, doesn't cause the speckling or lessens the risk.
Lessens the risk.
Yeah,
definitely lessen the risks. And speckling on the few books I've tried, one particular one that had water damage already in it, the speckling was very minimal, and the others experienced no speckling.
Right.
Oh,
and then one Golden Age I tried it on had no speckling at all after I dried it, but then I went ahead and I did silver. I have it here. I can show you. It's one of my last slides, actually.
It's a huge advantage.
It's magically, it's Superboy number 4, 1948. Was to me, it came out great, but if you look closely on it, there was some speckling because of the leaf casting I did on it after the fact. Right? So the rubbing action of the of the Rimet and the pressing caused that bit of speckling to occur afterwards, right?
Yeah.
And that is a tragedy for me, because this book, to me, came up perfect, really, at the end, but except for that speckling you see on the Superboy part.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful. You have to assess it afterwards, and if you have to do leaf casting afterwards, you have to be ready for some speckling.
Right. And Don Carter's confirming that it decreases the possibility in his hands, and he likes to keep exposure times to 30 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Professor, could you say that it could be safe just to do a light brush coating of methylcellulose over the areas that you might anticipating some speckling, just to kind of add some extra protection?
That won't harm it, I would imagine. I haven't tried it, but I would say that wouldn't harm it, right? Right, Dr. Paul, what do you think? I think that's
not at all. Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's see, where are we? Drawbacks. Not all stains are removable, and leaf casting, as I mentioned earlier, can leave speckling afterwards, especially on Silver Age, right? Or any Golden Age books from 1958 on, I would say, right? Depending on the publisher. So you got to experiment with things.
Yep.
All right, next step, Dr. Paul. Next slide.
Yeah.
So the ingredients I use are low acyl gel and gum between 1.7 and 4%. I typically use 2%, right? 2% gels would be 20 grams of gel and gum per liter of 25% calcium hydroxide. And then I add to it calcium acetate. This is mandatory. You add it as part of the process because it helps make that matrix, that gel and gum matrix, more solid, if you will.
Right. The polymerization.
And yeah.
Okay.
And I add fungal inhibitor because I don't want to really see fungi afterwards growing on my gel and growing on my book at the end, right? So you add calcium propionate. I add it at concentration of 0.5% or 5 grams per liter. And if the cover is brittle, this was very brittle, I added glycerin to it at 0.1% concentration, and look at it now. You can fold it and there is no issues, right? So those are my additions in my preparation. And that's
I don't see betaine mentioned.
Betaine, yeah. I think next slide shows it. And then I add betaine. Betaine has a superior, this is a quote from the paper I show at the bottom from Meng et al. Betaine has superior deacidification, anti-deacidification, anti-aging, and reinforcement capabilities, which can provide extra support to the fiber structure in addition to cleaning the paper materials. And that's my experience with it so far, right? Whether you're using it on wraps or covers, that's exactly what it does, right? So typically for a liter, you add anywhere between 5% and 7% betaine. We're talking about a lot of betaine, 50 to 70 grams of betaine per liter. So this big bottle that you see here on the left-hand side goes pretty fast if you're doing a lot of...
it goes even faster at Salesboy's place because he likes huffing. He likes to huff.
By the way,
he loves the smell. He loves the smell and he likes to huff it. So
yeah, Salesboy sent me text about the smell. He didn't like it, and same thing with Jason. Jason thinks it smells like fish or. I can't.
Red Lobster's dumpster.
For smelling betaine, Dr. Paul. So
does it go away? Does it go away, or is it the residual smell kind of? Is it a byproduct of the result?
I can't smell it, and I don't think it stays in the paper. I think it goes away.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Did Jason?
These guys would know in the chat. I mean, they seem to have.
Yeah, Jason and Dylan would know because they would have probably smelled the cover afterwards. I don't think it smells. They smell at all.
Sticks around.
Yeah, sticks around. I can't smell it. I'm recessive for smelling betaine, I suppose. Yeah. So a liter of gel and gum that you end up pouring at the end will have a thickness of about 0.7 to 1 centimeter, depending on how wide your tub is. And you go from there, basically. You invert it and use it, right?
Yep.
Next slide, Dr. Paul. So you end up gathering all the powder ingredients and you put them in the 25% solution, and you put it into the microwave and you stir and stir and stir and stir, and then you put it in the microwave. And then every 3 minutes or so, you stop the microwave and you stir it again. You want to try to get rid of all the lumps. You want that solution to be lump-free, right? The propensity of gel and gum is to aggregate and make these lumps, and complete hydration of the gel will occur at 80 degrees centigrade. You end up seeing almost like lump-free solution, right? But you keep stirring it every few minutes, right? In my microwave, it takes 12 minutes to complete the full boiling of the gel solution, right? Once I have it now boiled, I take it and I put it into my silicone gel or tub, whatever I have, right? And I put it within, I would say, 5 minutes. If you wait longer, you're going to get hardening, you're going to get uneven surface. And when it spreads, it doesn't look too appealing, right? It doesn't have the same structure to it when you pour it as agar. Agar is easier to pour, almost like liquid
Yeah.
gold. This one
Yeah.
is more like lava almost, right? Volcanic lava.
I wonder if you could make it more liquid phase feeling if you degassed it. Like if you put this under a vacuum and got the foam and the bubbles out, if it would pour more sort of smoothly.
Yeah.
I would think it would, because you're with the vacuum. I use that in a painting process. Pull all and epoxy to pull all the air bubbles out. I use a vacuum chamber.
That would make sense. Yeah. Although, I mean, it's just mostly cosmetic in this case, right? It's not like.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Yeah.
Unless it affects the not being smooth affects the interface with the paper. Probably not dramatically though. The bubbles
Not
are small
dramatically.
enough. They're kind of micro bubbles, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not making a difference on that scale.
Yeah. Nice thing about this, Dr. Paul, is that say you pour it and it's not even and there's a lot of lumps and upside down and all that, you could actually cut it up again, put it in the same bowl, stick it in the microwave again.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Aubrey. Thank you very
Aubrey,
much.
thank you so much. Welcome to the show. He's making a
Yeah,
splash.
thank you,
with his
Aubrey.
appearance.
He is making a splash.
Appreciate you. Absolutely.
All right. So next slide, Dr. Paul.
Hmm.
So this is it being poured, and now it's spreading basically into the.
Now it's still nice and hot at this point, right?
Yeah, nice and hot, and but it hardens very fast, right? I find it like more so than agar. Agar is like takes a while to harden. This stuff is quick, right?
This is like making rock candy in the upper.
Yeah,
peninsula.
kind of like that.
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I peel it, I invert it over plexiglass, and I end up using the underside to place the cover on, right? That's a smooth.
Okay.
All right, next slide, Dr. Paul.
Mm-hmm.
So if the cover is brittle, place it in a humidity chamber for a few hours or overnight. I had to do it with this book, and I did it also with the Superman for like a couple of hours just to get it a little bit. And the cover must be flattened in the press to ensure better results. So start off with a flat cover. Make sure it's nice and flat.
Yeah. Just a comment on the pre-humidifying, essentially, right? You know, it's highly recommended in the literature, and Dylan told us it's really one of his tricks, or what he swears to by for getting universal grade for these washed, moderns. So it may seem tedious. It may even seem unnecessary. You may say, I'm just going to throw this in water anyway. Why would I take the time to humidify it before putting it in water? But doing that, again, that stepwise introduction of the water to the paper is productive and useful. So just wanted
it can be a difference between having
reinforce that.
Yeah, it can be the difference between having a spine that stays put throughout the process or having a split spine, right?
Yeah.
So that's
One of the things
tongue
that's actually
twister.
interesting. It's interesting. The mechanism by which it works, Professor?
No, go ahead. Tell me.
It actually slows the absorption of the water when you place it in the aqueous bath.
Oh.
And so that's the preserving effect here. So by humidifying it first, you've introduced a very controlled amount of water into the paper matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you introduce full aqueous bath water, you don't get a rapid movement of water into the matrix. It's a more controlled, slower process. This has actually been measured, how much it slows down that process. That is the protective process. And that's why, for those of you that have been longtime viewers of the channel and you've seen some of my older videos, I humidify paper before introducing to aqueous bath. So
that's great. So the cover then is sprayed on both sides with water. So basically, we're using the Margaret, what's her name, Hay
Haze.
method. Right?
The haze, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We put the water in first. That allows to sit for a few minutes, and then you flatten it over plexiglass sheet. So that's what I'm doing here. Just water and then plexiglass sheets flattening. Next
Also,
slide.
make sure that you don't get shrinkage by doing it this way.
You don't get as much shrinkage, right?
Mm-hmm.
The cover then is sprayed with on both sides with solution of 5% betaine and 25% calcium hydroxide. And other additives such as enzymes can be added. I didn't use any enzymes in this treatment. I didn't have them here at home. I have them at work, and they do work at softening the foxing stains and softening the fungal staining, also the chromophores. And then you can use them later mechanically with an eraser. And then at the last step, you could apply a low concentration of hydrogen peroxide with blue LED to get rid and reduce the fungal staining tremendously, right? And that's something that one of my students is working on for his research thesis right now. We're presenting a poster actually at a symposium in February, and we'll see what other results he has. In the interim, I can present them to you guys.
Man, the chat has so much interesting to contribute to the show tonight. Lawston says it's like using dyes on paper. You first put down water with your brush, then apply the dyes over the areas of the paper you brush water on, result in a smooth blend without streaking, right? So it's like all of our chat have different backgrounds and expertise and bring it all to the table. It's really cool. Reefs, welcome to the show. We're not using RO water. Pure water or distilled water actually is not good for paper, especially old paper. It pulls ions out of the paper that actually stabilize the paper. So we want to use, you can certainly start with that level of water as super pure, great. And then you need to add things to it, like calcium hydroxide, for example, as an agent to buffer the paper.
Right. Yeah, I use tap water basically, and tap water basically in my spray bottle after a few days is chlorine free, and you can use it, right?
Yeah, I make my solutions. I make my solutions by the gallon because I go through such a high volume of it. I just use tap water.
Tap water is fine.
Tap water. Yeah.
So then you place the cover face down on top of the gellan slab. And you incubate it room temperature for under an hour. I do room temperature, or I do sometimes 35 degrees. If I'm at work, I may put it in an incubator. It accelerates the chemical reaction. But it
this was one of the
water faster.
Right. This was one of the other things I was going to ask you about. So to the point I was trying to make earlier regarding if I think about this as kind of a poultice, which is providing a gradient and safely pulling from the paper and exchanging with the paper, what I want to do is I want to make that process fast for those light molecules that are water soluble that I'm trying to move. And I don't want to expose it long enough for the slower, heavier, less soluble molecules of the ink that might tend to move around. So I want to speed this up. This is one of the reasons why warm aqueous bath works better than room temperature aqueous bath, because you can get a greater cleaning effect in less time, and therefore you can then arrest that movement of the ink and move on to drying sooner. So one of the things you could do here is same idea. You could, for example, do this in an incubator, do this at an elevated temperature, maybe even do this with a little bit of airflow over the top of it to accelerate the evaporation. These are all things that you could play with. So again, the idea being we're trying to explain to you some tools that are available to you as conservators, and it's up to you to experiment with ways to apply them, I think. Because I don't think there's one correct answer here, but those are things that may benefit the use of the gel, is sort of speeding up the action of the gel so that you can get the soluble things out quicker without moving the only only sort of partially soluble things too much.
Right. So I've tried it both ways, right? 22 degrees and room temperature at 35. Here at home, we keep our home nice and dry, and we live in a brick building. So temperature here in my room is always like about 19 degrees Celsius, 20 degrees Celsius at the most, right? And it's very dry environment throughout the year. And usually within an hour, I see some effect, right? And that's for most books. For some Bronze Age that have tremendous amount of staining due to water tide marks, tide lines, or tide lines caused, say, by water mixing in with rust migration, those could take longer, could take 4 or 6 hours for them to clear, sometimes overnight. So that book better be able to stand that treatment.
Right.
Yeah.
So for more robust paper, more robust books, ones that haven't been exposed to water before. So exactly correct, Lawson.
Yeah. All right, next slide, Dr. Paul. So the case study clearly I've been doing here is Superman number 174. And it had, as you can see on the top there of the book, has the tear and has the staining there is the foxing. These orange spots you see there were called foxing. They come originally from the fox, because the fox color is orange. So these orange and yellow spots that you see there could be either biological foxing or metal contamination that is causing the foxing, one of these two. I find biological activities of fungi and bacteria causing the foxing to be more removable than the ones caused by iron and copper and other metals.
Sure.
So these did clear eventually, as we'll see. Most of them cleared, but some of them persisted, but not as dark, right? We're able to get rid of that dark after 1 hour of treatment. So this is a Silver Age book, and betaine here was used, and the spots could be foxing spot caused by bacteria. I didn't culture it. When I do the work at the culture at work, usually within a week, I would see fungi growing on the agar plate, right? From the foxing spots. Right. And this one I didn't do it on, didn't do a culture on, so I couldn't tell you if these are biological foxing or metal-induced contamination foxing, right? All right, next slide, Dr. Paul. So here we flattened the cover, pressed it overnight, skipped the dry cleaning altogether. I didn't do the dry cleaning on it. I took Phil's advice to do the dry cleaning at the end, and I think that works better for this procedure in general. And then you place the cover in the humidity chamber as needed. You pre-wet it with water. You flatten it again. You spray both sides with 25% calcium hydroxide. Place face down. I'm repeating myself here. Place face down on gel and gum, and then time it for up to 1 hour. Check it intermittently to make sure things are working. And during incubation period, the foxing spots may not appear to be leaving the book. They may look like they're being enhanced because the water accentuates the looks of the foxing spots, right? But don't be afraid, just leave it alone, right? Keep going. And then at the end of the hour, take it out and dry it as you would usually, right? Without anything on the top of the cover. So dry it. What I do is I do air drying. And the air drying I do is this was suggested, I believe, by Jason Pinkney from our group. He said, why, in response to Jason asked, he said, do a slow drying cycle where you put the cover into a humidity chamber, let it dry overnight in that chamber. So it dries slower than usual, right? And this way, you're not doing constrained drying. You're not
Mhm.
causing any speckling on the cover by pressing it right overnight. So you're doing natural drying of the cover at the end. And if you're doing leaf casting, I would do the leaf casting immediately afterwards and then do the usual pressing and then say a Hail Mary or two and hope that.
Mhm. Less total cycles in and out of water. So
Yeah.
that's why you would
Less
combine
total
them. Yeah. Mhm.
And then do the post-dry cleaning afterwards at the end if there is the need. All right. Next slide, Dr. Paul.
Wow.
So after you take it out basically of the bath, this is how it looks like. It's 1 hour and you put it into a calcium hydroxide aqueous solution and for 1 minute to get rid of the tannins, not tannins. And then you slow dry it in the humidity chamber to maintain the dimensional stability. And then you finish drying at room temperature without a remain on the top of the cover, right? So this last step takes maybe at the most half an hour at the most maybe, and then you heat press it and you have your final product. Next slide, Dr. Paul. Here's how it looks. It looks like now.
Wow. Wow.
Clean. You don't see foxing really. Unless you look very close, you see some faint foxing spots in some areas.
Much better.
Yeah.
Much better, much more reduced.
So this is a great place for one of my other questions for you, Professor.
Yes.
Do you think that this effect is mostly from the gel, mostly from the betaine, some combination, or it's the gel that allows you to use the betaine on this cover? What is the interaction there, and can you sort of separate them out for those again that want to think of these as tools in their toolkit, and maybe we can get for a cover, for example, for a cover that would tolerate full aqueous bath. Maybe I can get this result by just adding the betaine to that and not bothering with the gel.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you don't need the gel for the betaine to work, right? Betaine can be added to your calcium hydroxide bath, and it'll give you that biological cleaning at the same rate, I would say, or as good as if you have it in the gel, right?
So in this specific instance, and I would summarize to say the main dramatic effect here is from the betaine.
Yeah.
However, we probably would not have risked using it on this Silver Age cover. So the gel is what enabled us to use it. And that the two of them working together is what gave the great result on this specific cover. And shout out to Lawson who pointed out or called out this cover, but it really is a great cover, isn't it? Who's the cover artist here?
That's Kurt Swan.
Kurt Swan.
Yeah.
Nobody drew Superman like Kurt Swan, I tell you that much.
No.
He knew Superman well, all his reactions, facials, and everything else.
Yeah.
And he was really good at drawing Superman. Yeah.
The cityscape is amazing too.
Oh yeah.
Tremendous. Yeah. So yeah, I have the book here. Okay. Anyway, so next slide, Dr. Paul.
Mm-hmm. I could look at this one for a while, but
yeah, it's really pretty.
but we're going on. We're approaching an hour and a half. So
this is assembling it, so we can.
We didn't think it could look any better before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that came out great.
No dry cleaning, by the way. Still no dry cleaning. If I dry cleaned it, it'll look even better. You know.
Oh, wow.
Keep going.
Mm.
And that's, you can see there the fading of the foxing spots right on the top.
Sure. Yeah.
No, you're not involved with it physically. You're not handling anything. It's just the gel and gum is doing all the work.
And the betaine.
And the betaine.
Yeah.
Keep going. And that's how it looks on the inside, interior, nice and bright.
And this is the face that was actually
down
in contact with the gel.
Yes.
Can I ask a quick question just before I forget? So, does the paper have a feel to it? like if you were to close your eyes and feel the texture of the paper, would you have the thought that this paper's been cleaned? Like something that's gone through this much, or not necessarily, in your experience?
Yes.
Okay.
If people know the feeling of,
And I'm not saying that should have a stigma or anything, just as a matter of a fact that the paper's been cleaned, versus like, you know, it's in terms of the sizing. And I say that because if you could go back, or you know what, I'll go back a slide real quick.
Yeah.
Unless I'm totally crazy, right? If you just look at the blues, right? To me, is that, I don't know if that's just due to
Oh,
the lighting.
That looks like a moire effect
Oh, that's
from
probably-
the photo.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that's what it was, or if that was almost a sign of clearly the colors really aren't affected, but there
You know,
is something.
The dot
you
matrix.
don't see it here.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I think that's a
What
moire.
just for peace of mind, what was the more? What's the effect that you said?
I said a moire effect. It's
Moray effect. I didn't.
depends on the camera and your optics and your focal length.
Your filters.
When you have a dot matrix and then you photograph it, you can sometimes get that effect. It's an artifact. It's a optical artifact.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I think this is Gorilla Production 73 says I have to experiment with betaine and baths. Can you also combine the betaine and methyl cellulose to same step? I would think not, Professor. We don't want to.
Yeah.
We want to.
You don't want to overdo it, right?
Yeah. I
Overmix
think
things.
and I think the betaine ideally is rinsed away at some point. You don't
Yeah.
want to leave it indefinitely, right? Yeah.
Next slide, Dr. Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And that shows the interior, the spine area, the
Wow.
gotten rid of all the foxing there.
That came out great, Doc.
Yeah, it
Really
was
nice.
good, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that looks wonderful.
I think so, yeah. Next slide. And that's left and right. You can see the difference there.
Yeah.
This is
Beautiful.
one of the worst impacted area in the book.
Yeah.
right?
And,
Yeah,
and
that-
again, for those of you that, you know, we talked about this, but this foxing is being removed through the paper, if you will, right? Like the
Yeah.
gel was not on this surface. So this is removal of those chromophores
So-
where
Yeah.
we're solubilizing them, we're moving them down through the paper matrix and then
Right.
into the gel matrix and then
Yeah.
Could you,
obviously away from the paper.
because also there was no photo bleaching done here, correct?
No photo
So,
bleaching.
so that if you really wanted to and you wanted to be ambitious and push that more, you could. Yeah, I mean, I just assumed because I feel like I see some people that do pressing and photo bleaching, and they
Mhm.
can get results like this just with the photo bleaching. But obviously, that technique, generally speaking, is a whole different process, and the paper and the comic undergoes a whole different process
Yeah.
than what we're seeing here.
With bleaching, you're leaving the contaminants there, and you're just changing them chemically
You're-
so that they no longer have the same color, right?
You're,
Whereas
you're,
here
you're
we're-
masking them is what you're doing.
Here we're
Yeah.
actively moving them, and yeah, I'm not judging it. When I say contaminants, I mean they all started in the paper. They're not necessarily dangerous to leave there, and it might be that bleaching them is fine,
Yeah.
but it's a different process.
Yeah, some of the darker foxing is still there, but a lot of the lighter foxing has gone away.
No question.
Oh,
This
yeah.
looks unbelievably
Yeah.
better.
A lot better.
Yeah, look at the balloon, look at his forehead, the boy's forehead.
I don't have a hat on, but I take my hat off too. So really, this is
I didn't do it. Yeah, it was all the gel and gum and the betaine doing all that. All right, and next slide, Dr. Paul.
Absolutely.
And that's what happens to the gel and gum if you had biological foxing on the comic book and you leave it on and you go away for the weekend, you come back on Monday and you find fungi growing everywhere on
Ask him how he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
So
do I- yeah. Go ahead.
So for those of you that don't know, there's in the conservation literature, there are examples of people pulling paper, like 400-year-old paper, and just scraping the foxing and culturing it out and finding that there are fungi or bacteria there. And they can basically lie dormant for centuries. But the gel, to the professor's point here, is a perfect medium, even better than paper for them. So once you pull them out, if you leave them here, you will be accelerating their growth at a dramatic pace.
Right, exactly.
It's gross.
It is gross. So this one
It's
definitely
gross. It's gross.
So this one is at work, of course, not this one I did this week. Gel and gum repeat applications. Again, we talked about that already, so I'll skip over that. It requires your subjective evaluation of the gel and gel and make sure it is not too dirty when you use it the second time on the same day, I would say. And then Dr. Paul suggested putting it in water and sticking it in maybe in the fridge. It can be refrigerated for up to 2 weeks, actually, without rescuing fungal growth afterwards, right? If it's gel.
Welcome to the show, my Memeplex. Cool to hear about people working on things other than comics. So he's playing card boxes is his thing. That's cool.
Well, this would also apply to because I treated an album cover for a record one time, just trying to remove water stains, and I think this might be an avenue for pulling water stains out for that as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is in the conservation literature, obviously not for comic books, right? This is for documents, linen items.
For documents.
You can even use this on the surface of metal. They're really quite versatile. So we're going to see a reuse here, yes?
So a reuse of my slab was with this Life with Archie comic book that had severe
water stains.
Water stains, and you can see the rust rust migration there. So this time what I did in my spray solution contained in it betaine, calcium hydroxide, and 10% Evaporust. So 10% of the solution was Evaporust. I sprayed the whole thing with Evaporust with that solution, right? And
this is pH corrected to the...
to the 25% calcium hydroxide basically in there, which is pH 8, and this is pH 6 with the 10%.
But the Evaporust is at the same time, so it's in a basic. Yeah, does it work well at that pH?
Yeah, oddly enough, it did.
Wow.
Yeah. Oddly enough, it did. I don't know if I should have done that, but I did it. All right, so I sprayed it with that. I put it on top of the gel. And
this is why your experiments in conservation. I mean,
this is why it's experiments.
Living up to the name. Name checks out.
Yeah. I mean, I gave it some forethought. I was like, should I treat the rust migration first and then treat the,
went on at the same time.
I said do it all at the same time.
That sounds like something Larry would do.
So I let it go for 6 hours on this one, right? And the next slide, Dr. Poole. You can see.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Yeah. And no change in colors at all.
Wait, hold on. I just gotta okay. So that's what it looked like before. You're telling me that you did that, and then it looked like that.
And that's
that's
the gel and gum with protein, and the spray with the Evaporust did that.
That is
that is phenomenal.
Came out great.
That is insane.
Really, I mean, the white was white, and you couldn't tell this was in water before or had any.
Very nice.
This is going to be part of a bound comic book. I'm going to put it in there.
Right there.
All right, next slide, Dr. Paul.
Yeah.
Which is probably the Superboy slide there. This is the one that it was fine when I took it out of the slab and dried it. There was no speckling at all. But once I decided to go ahead with the leaf casting, it had already dried, and I went with the leaf casting and it caused this.
So this is where Phil would advise you to
treat it with
put methyl cellulose over this entire cover post the gel treatment prior to the leaf casting
To the leaf cast.
and allow it to dry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a bad mistake, and I hope other people can learn from this, because this was an expensive mistake, right?
Mm.
That's
Well,
a
we
valuable book to lose.
We need more.
Well, we all
people-
make
We all made them.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
We all make expensive mistakes.
Yes.
Yeah. And we need people experimenting to figure things out. So
Yeah.
we appreciate that you made this mistake on behalf of the community so we all could learn something, right? So,
Well, thank you. Yeah. And I think one more slide and we're done, I believe. Yeah. And if you go to my channel, Experiments in Conservation, you'll see all sorts of videos on treating Silver Age books and Bronze Age and Golden Age with gellan and betaine and so on.
Mr. Mixelplick.
Yeah.
Link in the description, folks, for that. And I did want to point out one more of Loston's comments, which is his most recent conservation.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, isn't
No
that
way.
incredible?
That's great. Good for you, Loston. Yeah.
This is why we do it, right? This is
Yeah.
why we have this community, and why we're sharing information freely, and why we're open source here, and why we created the Facebook group to allow everybody to collaborate. And John Bingham Lucan appreciates that you're single-handedly elevating Archie's status within the community, Professor.
I
Despite
could say
Jason's protestations.
as the professional here, this is my full-time job. I first of all, Professor, thank you for being the catalyst for an unbelievable outcome I had for a Flash Comics 1. Just because, and this was just the byproduct of this show and the community, and that is, I'm still, I'm a professional and I have things in my toolbox to use, but I'm still always on the lookout for things I can add. And I've had moments in the last several years I've been doing this where I'll do a big job and I'll realize, wow, if I tried to do this a year and a half ago, I didn't have this one tool that would have given me a better outcome now than it would have before. And that's just part of the paradigm shift we're kind of experiencing now, because there is an active community working towards things where it didn't exist before. You were kind of on your own, and to read some of the conservation literature that wasn't directly being applied on comic books. So thank you. I just want to say, as a professional doing this as my full-time job, thank you so much. Because seeing this, and kind of having the real-time thought in my head of, wow, benefits of being able to wash restored brittle books with gel, just how this lets me do my job in a more efficient, better way. That's why I was really looking forward to this show, and this is definitely, I always try to
me
rewatch
too.
the show. This is one that I'm definitely gonna play back at least a couple times.
I have not tried the gel and gum yet, and I feel like I'm behind the curve behind you, all of you guys, and this was very educational for me, and I'm definitely going to try it. I've been working on a couple of the books the guys know about that are like the Batman 5 and things like that have some serious foxing to it.
Mhm.
And I'm looking for a way to get that foxing out. I've tried my methods and they didn't work well enough. Not for my standards. So I want to try this.
Yeah.
It's great. Try the betaine, see if that works.
Yeah, that's my first thing. It's just like while we're sitting there talking, I'm sitting there over here filling out Amazon on my phone right now, my shopping cart. So if you guys miss out, I bought all your stuff. I'm sorry.
Good for you.
Oh, they'll find more. Well, we always end the show with gratitude, and I think that's a great segue into sort of wrapping up what was a bit of a long show, but I think absolutely worth it. We had a lot of engagement from the chat, and again, thank you so much, Professor, for coming on and sharing with us. And I hope you have a great semester there with the Vikings. Thank you so much to the chat. Thank you for the sponsors of this show. Once again, they are, wow, we have so much chat here.
We have a lot of
Before-
sponsors
before
there.
you talk to
Don
the sponsor-
Carter. Yes, please.
I was just going to say, before you do the sponsors, everyone, if you're watching and you think that one or all of us look funny and you want to leave a comment to tell us that, then that's okay. If you want to leave a comment because you really enjoyed the content and you like watching, well, the comments in the video after, not just the live chat, it helps the video get out. It's made a noticeable increase in the overall viewership of the episodes.
Yep.
Since we mentioned that, and we appreciate you guys watching now or later. So just want to put that out there.
Give the
Thank you
video
guys
the
all very
thumbs
much.
up. Leave us a comment. We'll interact there. It'll be fun. Again, thank you to this show sponsors, Don Carter Collecting Chaos, Gorilla Monkey 3K, and Salesboy Comics. Thank you so much to the generous super chatters who will be sponsoring next week's episode. Lost in Wallace, Don Carter, You Pluck My Last Comic, Salesboy Comics, Collecting Chaos, and Gorilla Productions 73, and Aubrey, AJ. And thank you all so much again for joining us. And I would just want to say once again how much I appreciate all of my hosts and our special guest host tonight. And I'm looking forward to a great week. And so until next time, take care of one another.
See you later, everybody.
See you guys.